Good day, everyone. My name is Alvin Ebenezer. I'm from Management and Science University, from the Faculty of Information Science and Engineering. So today I'll be presenting about my project, okay, entitled Quick Response Code Validation and Phishing Detection Tool. So about this project, okay. So when we see as these days has been quite tough for us this year, past years, okay, where we were hit by the pandemic. So due to the increasing, okay, of the internet usage in our daily lives, it also has opened up opportunities for cyber criminals to make a profit. Okay, this is a kind of threat to the internet users nowadays because when we see our physical transactions, okay, our physical movements have been actually minimized, and all our movements, okay, it became moved to the internet base. So among one of the mentioned threats, okay, is the phishing attack, which has become dramatically more common in the world in recent years. Okay, phishing is a way to attract people to visit and convince fraudulent websites to enter their personal details on the same websites. Okay, and we see phishing attacks based on QR response code is the most recent oxygenating factor for the attackers. For the common users, they usually do not know the content behind a QR code until they access the web or display the data behind it. This encourages users to inadvertently download malware applications that contain viruses. Other than that, the QR code itself is not equipped with threat protection, which means there are vulnerabilities exploited for attacker purposes. Okay, so as we know, the QR code, users, they don't know what are behind the QR code. Okay, usually they don't know what is the content, so they tend to scan to validate it first. Okay, so this may bring harm to them. So our main objective here is actually to work out to come out with a model that can detect a phishing QR code by enhancing the security of the QR code scanner and implementing an algorithm that can block malicious links or URLs. So problem statement with this development is actually QR code generally are all portrayed with the same two-dimensional barcode, which doesn't cause any suspicion to users, and the user start to scan or validate the QR code without any hesitation. Second one is some authentication and security warnings are still dependent on user behavior. If user ignores the phishing page warnings, the solutions can be rendered useless. So there is sometimes some security warnings, okay, authentication that is applied, but the thing is it is rendered on users, okay, users decision. So when users still wants to go ahead in validating the URL, there can be problems. So when we see the methodology of this application, okay, the process starts with reading the QR code. If the application detected the QR code image, it will start identify and examine whether it is a legitimate or phished QR code. If it is legitimate URL, then it will redirect the user to the site. Otherwise, the application will display warning message to the user. So we can see the methodology, okay, how it works. So next is the phishing detection rules that has been applied. So one of the rules used to identify the genuine and phish URL is through the length of the host URL. So usually URL is formatted string used for defining a network resources on the internet by internet users. There are three components to the URL string, such as network protocol, hostname, and root. For phishing and valid URLs, domain name size is examined. In phishing URLs, the standard domain name size is found to be greater than 25 characters, and the average valid domain name size is found to be 20 characters length. The second rule used to check the valid and phish URL is to the number of slashes in URL. The phishers attempt to deceive web clients by impersonating the w's URL look authentic. One such procedure utilized in defrauding is the expansion of cuts in URL. The present investigation in this manner considers the number of slashes in URLs as an element of distinguishing proof of phishing and look at the number of slashes in genuine and phishing URLs. Okay, the third rule used is through the dots in the host name of the URL. This rule checks on the number of dots in the host name of the URL. So usually phishing URLs for the most part have numerous dots to cause client to attempt that they are real page. Results have indicated that the suspicious URL has multiple dots and the quantity of dots in an authentic URL is normally 3. The fourth URL is used is through the number of terms in the host name of the URL. Domain names are utilized to identify unique identity. The host name part is separated from the URL. The terms in the host name segment are tokenized on the off chance that the quantity of terms in the host name segment of the URL is halfway. At that point, the URL is genuine, generally phishing. The identity of the authentic site is gotten from the hostname of the URL. It was discovered that 77.75% of phished URLs contain special characters. It also was discovered that 9.4% of the phished URLs contain IP address. The fifth rule used to identify between legitimate and phished URL is through examining the Unicode in URL. Unicode gives an exceptional number to each character. It is investigated that the greater part of the phishing URL are coded with Unicode characters. The nearness of Unicode in the host name of the URL demonstrates that the URL is phished. Okay, so when we see this is the development of the application. So this is the main interface. What we are seeing is the main interface where we can see there is the scan button and also the history button. So this is the scan history interface where you can see the scan links or the scan QR code links are saved here for us to view again. Can also shows us whether it's a simple text. Okay, it's a safe or it's a dangerous. Then there is also date time when the URL is being scanned. Okay, the next is the scanner interface. Okay, this is the interface where there's camera, image, okay, and flash. Okay, when we see there's a camera, when we click on it, okay, it opens up the camera to actually scan. Okay, there's an image button where we can actually scan saved images in our gallery. Okay, there's also flash. So this is one of the example of a valid QR result interface where the scanned URL is actually safe. So it gives us an option to actually cancel whether to open and actually continue. And this is an invalid QR result interface where the example of a scanned URL which is not valid, okay, where there is highly suspicious it is highly suspicious link where it shows that domain is suspicious, URL string patterns abnormal, port number no match, and IP string no match. So this doesn't give any options for us to open and we can only cancel. So as a conclusion for this, okay, so this application will enable user to experience a better QR code scanning and protect them from malicious URLs. The development of this phishing detection tool will ensure users does a secure scanning, and this will enhance the security of QR codes to a higher stage and forbid QR code abuse by anonymous attackers. So the advantage of the detection model is it detects the abnormal and malicious links that are used as a vector attack. This QR code phishing detection tool was developed and tested before the tool was presented. Okay, there was testing done few times before it was presented. In order to make sure the scanning is done perfectly and the malicious and phishing page is detected, the protocols that has been used